We're in a VQD marketplace today. Volatile, uncertain, complex, ambiguous, and disruptive. A skill that was useful for you 10 years ago may not be useful again. You got to be resilient to adapt.
Before you go into any company, you have a career plan, your goals, what you want to achieve. Getting into an organization, you shouldn't dump that plan. Hi everyone. Today we have a special guest with us. We have our very own Dr. Sass. Dr. Sass is a medical doctor, a neuroscientist and psychologist turned management consultant. He's also an executive leadership coach, behavioral therapist, peak performance trainer, transformational speaker, mental health advocate, and a social entrepreneur. So today we'll be discussing resilience in the workplace, and trust me, nobody best to do this other than Dr. Sass. Hello, Dr. Sass. Good to have you.
Thank you for having me.
I like the
Should
energy.
I call your nickname?
That's fine.
Oluwachineke Taiwo.
Oluwachineke Taiwo, all together join. Thank you so much, Dr. Sass.
Welcome.
All right, thank you so much for joining us on the show today.
Welcome.
Like I introduced earlier, we're talking about resilience in the workplace. And of course, I know that this is an area where you've done a lot of work in.
Mhm.
You've done a lot of work. I think I've been in one of your sessions where you talked about resilience, and I just thought, no one best to do this other than you. So we'll just go straight into it. And my first question to you will be, what is even this resilience that we always talk about? Again, one of the reasons why this topic is coming up is, when they talk about Nigerians and our qualities, one of the first things they say is, oh, we are very resilient. We are very resilient.
Mhm.
So we'll come back, we'll get to the point where let's even know what the difference between resilience and suffering is, because sometimes it looks like you have to suffer to be a resilient person. But just to kickstart it, what is resilience?
Interesting question and very necessary. Thank you once again for having me on HRT. So resilience was derived from a Latin word called resilire, and which means to jump back or to bounce back or to recoil. Something that can be stretched and can return back to where it was stretched from. All right. And over time, a couple of psychologists are taking that concept and evolved it into human living, human high performance, whether in personal life or work life. People like Amastin and co. So there are different definitions if you check online. There are different definitions, but I choose a particular one that I adapted to mine and to fit Nigerian setting. So I wanted to enlist 4 attributes of resilience, or what you can call 4 constituents of resilience. So I say resilience is your ability or capacity. And by capacity, it means it's a vessel. You have it already. You just need to fill it. A vessel that has a space inside. So it's an ability or capacity to do 4 things: to respond well, to adapt, to recover, and to thrive in the face of adversity. And adversity can mean pressure at work or pressure of parenting. All right. Adversity can also mean demands on you of workplace. Adversity can mean challenges or dealing with a terrible boss or some policies or inflation or even some losses. So your capacity to respond well and not react, to adapt, to recover, and to thrive in the face of adversity or life and work challenges is actually resilience. And if you notice, there are 4 components. Respond instead of reacting. What most people do, they react. All right? Adapting. What most people do is they do what we call Bakamu syndrome. They just accept their fate. You must be able to adapt. Then you must be able to recover. Your feelings will be stretched. and it's okay. Sometimes initially you get angry at your life, at your God, at whatever, at your workplace, at your employer, and it's okay. That's why in psychology we don't say any feeling is negative or positive, all right? But it's ability to recover from that anger, ability to recover from the sadness, ability to recover from the fears, the worries, the confusion, the doubt. Then when you now recover, you must be able to thrive. And for each of these four components, there are skills for practicing each of them, and they are the secrets of resilience.
Wow. That's quite broad, and it's almost looking like, of course, not something that we can cover in a short time.
Yeah.
Even if we take just the first one, the first component where you said responding instead of reacting. I know that, just that topic alone will probably stretch us. But before we come to maybe address one or two of these components, why is this resilience? Why is it important?
Interesting. So, back to what you mentioned earlier, Nigerians are highly resilient. So they say, well, scientific facts say otherwise.
Wow.
All right. And the reason being the fact that, wherever the viewers are watching from, it's not only Nigeria, the whole world is going through a lot of turbulence, apparently.
Absolutely.
Information overload is all over the social media, and they are majorly negative. Wars, violence, crime, and what have you, down to work challenges. Then for those in Nigeria, inflation and what have you, economic crisis and what have you. And the reason why it's become important is because more than ever before, the whole world is passing through a turbulent time. In fact, the World Economic Forum listed the top 10 skills needed in the marketplace for 2025. So for the 2020 release for World Economic Forum top 10 skills, resilience was number 4. For 2025, resilience has moved to number 2. And I bet you very soon we'll move to number one. Because if you're not resilient, your talent becomes useless. No matter the talent you have, let's say you are the best footballer, you are the best singer, you pass through some life odds. And it's just the fact that you are passing through life odds, it does not mean any enemy is chasing you. In real terms, really. It's just part of life. I always jokingly say that the electrical activity of the heart, when you do that ECG test, you see that it's, as long as you're alive, it's sinusoidal. It's going up and down. God forbid it goes flat. It's only a dead man that is the electrical activity of his heart will be flat. So as long as you're breathing and you're alive, the electrical activity of your heart on the graph will be up and down, more or less like sinusoidal. And so if life is up and down for you, it's a testament to the fact you're alive. And that brings to the fore the reason why resilience is important. We're in a VQD marketplace today. Volatile, uncertain, complex, ambiguous, and disruptive. A skill that was useful for you 10 years ago may not be useful again. You got to be resilient to adapt and thrive. Someone that loved you to return, if I'm permitted to use Yoruba here, 2 years ago, 2 months ago, might change. Salary that was enough for you 3 years ago may no longer be enough for you due to the inflation and perhaps the forex rates. I mean, a child that was the sweetest darling for you before, 1 year ago, due to peer influence, may become the worst child you can parent. A boss that was nice and lovely and caring and supportive can change. So resilience has become very important for you to be able to thrive in any endeavor you choose.
Wow. Wow. I mean, the mere fact that in 2020, it was the number 4 on the top 10 skills needed to
in the marketplace,
to thrive in the marketplace. And then in 2020,
it's projected by 2025 will be
number 2. I mean, it just goes to show how important or how extremely important.
In fact, the number 1 skill itself has a lot to do with resilience, critical thinking.
Wow.
Critical thinking has been number 1 since 2020. It's projected to still remain number 1 in
2025. Wow. And then resilience is number 2. Okay, so I mean, this it's not looking like doom or whatever, right? Because again, like you said, as long as you're alive, your
Electrical activity of your heart
heart
will be
is
up.
up and down, up and down. So the same thing about life, things are going up and down, up and down. So you have to be resilient to make sure that you're hanging in there and pulling through and thriving as much as you can. So as an employee or a manager or even a business owner, how do I, because you said that, when you talked about the 4 components you use in defining resilience, you talked about the fact that, there are
skills for each
of them, right? So how do I get in that space? How do I get in that space where I'm able to build my resilience? Let's say that I think to a certain extent, everyone has it. It's just the degree to which you have it.
That's why it's a capacity. Like I described capacity. Capacity originally means a vessel, a container that just needs to be filled up. All right. So the capacity itself is your brain. As long as you're not brain dead, you have the capacity to be resilient. But you got to fill up the brain. And if you like, fill it up with sawdust.
So as long as you're alive, you have the capacity to be resilient. So you have to fill it up, like you said. So how do I fill it up?
Interesting. So let me use this analogy to start this, and I'll introduce a model I developed in 2018 that I've been using in several corporate organizations. So if you take a lawn tennis ball, you know that ball that bounces?
Yeah.
When you throw it at a wall, it bounces back very well, even beyond where you threw it from. It's not all balls that bounce back.
True.
There are plastic balls, no matter the effort, the strongest man here, if you throw the ball, it won't bounce back to even the point where you threw it from. And the reason why that ball bounces back, that lawn tennis ball bounces back, 2 reasons. I always ask people, and people will mention all manners of reasons. So I would say, what's the difference between this one and this plastic ball that refused to bounce back? And the 2 reasons are just the content inside the ball. But not just the content. The content will be useless if the container is not the right one. So the container, also the material the ball is made up of. So the material is an elastic material. The content is a specific kind of gas inside that ball that helps it to bounce back. Because no matter the container, let's say the material is still elastic, but you decide to use a knife to cut it open a bit, let out the gas, and fill the ball with water, it will lose its bounce back ability. So the content matters, and that brings us to the concept of PAC model that developed 2018. So before, I used to say 10 practices, 10 resilience practices that you must embrace till they become habitual for you. But it's difficult for people to remember all of them, and even to talk about all of them, the gamut of 10. So I was looking for how to just simplify and summarize them into 4 until I had an experience that gave me a eureka moment. But let's leave the experience. So it's an experience with police, and they asked me to park, and the guy was shouting as if he wants to cock his gun. And the next thing, I shall manage to park, and they said, switch on your inner light. It was around midnight. So they delayed me for a while. Then I was thinking about it. What was this supposed to teach me? What was I supposed to learn from it? And that's when PAC model came. Can't this be possible? Because I was actually overspeeding without realizing. I received a call from my friend's wife around midnight that is gasping for breath. So I entered my car, and I was speeding on Admiralty Way to get out of the gate of Lekki Phase 1. So I didn't realize I was speeding. Maybe the car was driving also, because sometimes when you are 80, you won't even realize. So then after everything died down, they let me go. Everything went well with my friend. Came back. I was not thinking of it around 2 a.m. or 3 a.m. Is it impossible that in life also we can learn to park our emotions when they are boiling and they're driving us crazy? Like I was speeding. It's not possible when we had a loss and what have you. So that's what led to PAC. And the PAC, there are 4 skills. Each of them represents what will help you practice the 4 components of resilience. So for responding, remember, resilience is the capacity in you to respond well, not react. To adapt, to recover, and to thrive in the face of adversity. Now, to respond well and not reacting, you must be able to embrace and practice the 4 skill of PAC model. That's P, pause, P-A-U-S-E. Pause to become aware of the feelings running you. and what exactly is triggering the feelings. Pause to become aware. In life, when a policy is not favorable to you in the workplace, when you make or you suggest an idea and they jump over you, the senior, and go to take the idea of the younger one or the junior one, it's tendency is there for you. You are human to start feeling somehow. Or a simple request you made in the office was turned down. You want to go for your wife, stay by your wife's. Let's say she's just birthing, she's in the labor room, and they refuse. They turn you down. All those things can actually run your emotions haywire, and or even come to think of it, your take-home pay is no longer taking you home. You're earning 500,000 naira before.
Halfway home.
Yeah. So you must be, when your emotions are boiling, and it's human, it's natural for you to start having certain emotions. All right. Like I listed earlier, anger, fears, worries. I mean, you're thinking of school fees. You're thinking of everything. All right. It's normal. No problem with that. However, you must be able to pause so that you become aware, conscious of the feelings driving you, because emotions are unreasonable. They will hijack your behavior in your health, your self-care, your work, the way you relate with colleagues, with customers, the way you even relate with your loved ones without you realizing until consequences set in. So, but when you learn to pause, to ask yourself, what feeling is dominating my action in this situation? Then where is this feeling coming from? And that's the key. Those two things are key. Which feeling is dominating or driving my behavior? You must ask. Am I scared? Am I angry? Oh, I'm not angry. No, you're angry. Being sincere with yourself. Then what's the trigger for that feeling? And where I will throw a caveat out is this. A lot of times people think that it's the situation that triggers their feeling. As long as you ascribe or subscribe to the fact that it's your challenging situation, the adversity that happened, the change in policy in the workplace, the salary that is not enough is the trigger for your feeling. You are a slave to that feeling forever. And that feeling will keep pumping. Because the real truth is that scientifically proven, scripturally proven, psychologically proven, no situation, no challenging situation has the power to trigger what you feel. Feelings are chemicals that are released in your system. Now, no situation can trigger it. That's why 3 people can be in Lagos traffic, the worst Lagos traffic, and they will experience different feeling. It actually happened to me before. So what triggers is actually the meaning you give to the situation. The way you are responding to the situation through the meaning. The meaning can be your interpretation and can be your expectation. And that's your real trigger. And pausing helps you to become aware of it so that you can know where your real village people are coming from. Then you'll be able to respond and not react. Then to be able to adapt, all right, the second component or step of resilience is a function of practicing, embracing and practicing the second skill in PARC model, which is the A, accepting yourself regardless. Adverse situations will happen. You can't even pray it away. It will not be all rosy in that workplace. It's not a curse. I'm not a prophet of doom. It's real. All you need to experience,
reality.
Yeah, all you need to experience the downside of any workplace is to just stay for like 1 year. Just stay for like 1 year. You experience the downside. No matter, I mean, an HR director called me yesterday that my workplace is the best to work. Well, you see, the way let me not go deep. The way he talks to me, he talks to me as if I don't know what I'm doing. And he's an HR red with years of experience. And it happens. It's the reality of life. However, this is it. If you don't learn to practice consistently, not just one-off, practice accepting yourself regardless of your situation, regardless of what you feel, you will not be able to put out your authentic self. And if you're not able to put out your authentic self, you cannot adapt. The secret to adaptability is to be able to accept yourself first, regardless. That even though this salary cannot take me on, it doesn't define whether I'm able to provide for my family or not. It doesn't take anything away from me. Once you start mislabeling yourself because of inability to do certain things due to some adversity, you are giving yourself a second injury. Life is issuing a first injury to you, then you are also issuing a second injury. You won't be able to adapt the result. In fact, you will not see the little you have as enough.
Absolutely. Let me just quickly even interrupt you there. So I was, I consult for a company let me leave the industry alone. So I was having a town hall meeting with the staff just yesterday. And of course, everyone, they were pouring out their hearts, different things, different issues, and all the issues, everything everyone said led us to just one person in the organization, right? Which is very obvious. So you expect that you shouldn't think less of yourself, because we can all see where the problem is coming from. So whilst you two might have your own way of adding to the problem, but you should, you just imagine that no, it shouldn't take a toll on you, because you can see that this person affects other people. But that wasn't the case when I interrogated them further. In fact, two of them that I spent more time on, one had a note where she had written, I am crazy, I'm not enough, I'm this, I'm that. And, she had written all sort of things at the back of her notes, simply because of the feedback she had gotten from this same person that talks everybody down, because that's the feedback everybody gave. Oh, this person talks us down. He says we're not good enough. Everything is almost like he's always waiting for us to make a mistake. And then he jumps on it and escalates like, the world is coming down. And then the other person said, oh, I'm not a genius. I'm not this. I don't know how they expect me to do. I'm just a student. Just already limiting themselves simply because someone has,
and that brings me to what I was saying. You see, if you don't learn to accept yourself and practice it, it's not enough to learn it. You must practice it, regardless of what anybody said to you, regardless of what you are not able to meet up with. Your wife demanded for something and you're not able to meet up with it. Or your husband said lose weight and you're not able to meet up to it. Or in the workplace, there's a target and you miss it, or you miss the deadline. Well, fantastic. You got to feel remorseful, all right? But you must not allow anything to make you accept yourself less or start labeling yourself wrongly. Because once you do that, you will step out of what I call the love zone, which is the natural and supernatural state God created you in. You will step into fear. And that's why in energy psychology, we say the opposite of love is fear. Love originally means accepting regardless, either accepting yourself or others regardless. Once you stop accepting regardless yourself, you will enter into fear. Fear will hijack you. So you will shift focus from your strengths and focus more on your shortcomings. You will shift focus from affirming positive affirmations for yourself. You focus on the insults and the abuses, and that will affect you. And let me move away from there with this analogy. I always jokingly say to people, no matter how you desire to have a Rolls Royce, and because you don't get the money, you carry your Toyota Corolla 2022 or 2023 or 2024 model, because you discover there's a garage of 10 Rolls Royce, all the Rolls Royce clean right and what they have you, and you go park them together with the 10 Rolls Royce in the car garage and leave it there for 1 year.
Nothing
you
changes.
Come back after 1 year, it won't change. Then the same way, a Rolls Royce park in a Toyota Corolla garage. Let's say the Toyota Corolla are like 20. 2 years, leave the Rolls Royce, is still Rolls Royce. Keep a lion in a cage of dogs for 1 year, 2 years. The worst that can happen is that you start learning to bark. But the day it comes out, and it doesn't even need to see another lion. It just needs to see the image or the video of a lion roaring. The instinct of a lion will kick in him. Go and play anyhow in the name of thinking it's a dog. You regret it because it's still a lion. No matter the setback, no matter the failure, no matter the mistakes, no matter the errors, you must learn to accept yourself. It doesn't change who you are. It doesn't define you. It's just a feedback. Failure is a feedback. Then the third component of resilience, which is about recovering, can only be practiced when you master the third part of or skill of PAC model, which is the R, reframing your thoughts. Your thought is essentially about the meaning you give to what you're dealing with or what is happening to you. And remember, I said that's the trigger. It's not what is happening to you that triggers your feeling. Yeah. It's not the situation that you're facing that triggers your feeling. It's the meaning you're giving to it as you're responding to it. All right? And if the meaning you're giving to it is triggering unproductive feelings for you, unhealthy feelings for you, you are not condemned to it forever. You can reframe it. You can change the meaning you give to any situation, because this is on the principle or the fact that no event in life or situation has more meaning. If you see a woman crying because she lost her husband, you may be wrong to think that she's pained. It may not mean she's pained. because no event or situation in life has one meaning. And it doesn't mean you're shying away from the reality. You're just empowering yourself. So the reality may mean it's really, really sad. But what's the essence of sinking in an unproductive feeling that is even...
Sorry, sorry to interrupt
Yeah.
your flow. It may not be that she's pained. So what else? What other...
I've worked with...
meaning?
while I was in the Air Force, I've worked with a woman before that lost her husband now. And she was shedding tears. Many assumed that it was pain, but it wasn't pain. We sabi waiting happen. We know waiting happen. The woman was shedding tears of joy. Tears of joy because the man has had a terminal illness for a while and the man has been in pain. No medicine that we tried worked. And euthanasia is not legal in Nigeria. You cannot request for it that your life should be ended. In some countries it's illegal. So for the death to come natural, for the man to escape the pain, it was a relief.
It was a relief. Oh.
Yeah, so it may mean several things. And it may even mean that the man has been beating the wife. Anyhow, has beaten her to stupor.
She was happy to let him go.
Yeah. So no event has one meaning. And you can question the meaning you are giving to it. They abuse you at your workplace. They change a policy that doesn't favor you. A salary is not enough. Look at it this way. 100,000 naira in the hand of Mr. A may mean inadequate, may mean suffering. But 100,000 naira in the hands of Mr. B may mean all right? It's all about the meaning we give to it. And if the meaning does not change, the problem is this. If the meaning does not change, you will keep pumping unwanted feelings into your system because that's the re-trigger of your feeling. And those feelings will hijack your mindset and your behavior. Those feelings can even suspend your thinking brain that helps you to critically analyze and appraise situation for decision making and problem solving. So you must learn to question the thinking, the perception, your interpretation of whatever you're facing or what is happening to you, or your expectation, so that you can change it. The more you question it, the more you weaken the hold of that meaning. Because the meanings are actually stemming from your programming, how you have been programmed to see that situation, from your environment you grew up in, the education you received, the experiences you had, and your exposure. All right. Another person in the same situation may see it in a different light. Always question it. Then the last component of resilience, which is thriving, can only be practiced when you learn the skill and practice the skill. Fourth skill, impact model, which is the key. Keep choosing your action despite your feelings. The mistake a lot of people make is that they want to fight the feeling. I don't like the way I'm feeling in this workplace. The more you try to fight the feeling and focus, you will focus on the feeling. And guess what? Whatever you focus on expands. You get more of it. So if you don't like the salary you're earning and you are sad or angry at your employer and your attention is all about, I'm angry, you will increase that sadness. And that's why in psychology we say that for emotions, because emotions are energy. That's where even emotion came from. Energy, emotion.
Wow, doctor. I mean, this is like a huge package that we cannot fully unpack, right? Because I was going to ask you, a few questions around some of the things that you already talked about, the 4 components, and then the model that you came up with in the PARC model.
Park your emotions so that you can switch on your inner light.
Park your emotions, like I think one that I have practiced and I also preach it to people is the one with the one you talked about, to pause and just analyze, reflect,
become aware.
Right? Because of course, if you don't pause to reflect, to try to analyze the situation, more often than not, you would react. You would react. So again, in my past experience, I've had situations where I've also, what you mentioned about the same situation, 3 people are in the same situation and they'll respond or react differently. It's happened severally. You're in a meeting and a topic is discussed. One person finds it exciting and want to engage. Another person thinks, oh, this is an insult to me. Why are you bringing up this kind of conversation? And then another person just thinks, is this the time? I mean, this is way gone. We should have talked about this. Different interpretation that people give to one same thing, one same situation, right? But is there like any specific trick to that being able to pause, is there any specific trick? Because it's not an easy thing to do, to be very honest. I know you probably say it's very easy. It's not in my own opinion, it's not an easy
Actually,
thing.
I won't say it's very easy. When emotions are boiling, it's not easy to pause. And that's why you must first learn that it's possible to pause. But where it becomes easy is with your consistent practice. Life itself is not easy. If it's only easy things we want to be doing in life, then we are not going to do plenty things. It wasn't easy to go to university.
No, of course not.
All right. So, but it comes with practice. The reason why it's not easy is this. Let me tell you the reason why it's not easy. And there's a science to it. Whatever your brain or you have not been doing before, and you want to change to that thing, your brain will first resist it. So the human brain naturally resists a change. That's why change can be difficult. And that's why even in HR, the most difficult aspect of change management process is the people side of it. Because the human brain naturally resists a change. All right. If you have been applying a particular route to your house, even though that route is the long route, is full of potholes, and all of a sudden the government now constructs a shorter route that is new, no pothole, and you discover the night you're returning back from work, and you tell yourself the next morning, I'm following this shorter route, no pothole, well, thank God to government. If your care is not taking the morning next, most likely you will follow your old route. You will have reached halfway or the end.
Before you remember.
What happened? I told myself I will follow the new route. Your brain will resist it and take you along the path of the old one because of a survival instinct in you. It wants to save your energy. So it has archived over the period of time that you have repeatedly practiced it, that this is the mode of my boss. All right. Now, so when people have learned over the years, have been programmed to react, it takes conscious effort to now want to start practicing pause. It's just the initial phase that will be difficult because your brain is still resisting it. But the more you keep practicing it, your brain will start sensing that, okay, my madam, my oga wants me to change the pathway. All right. And the moment your brain now accepts it, it becomes a habitual thing for you. It takes average of 21 to 60 days for something to become a habit. So you got to practice pausing for at least 2 months. And it takes about 60 to 90 days for it to become a lifestyle. And there are various tricks to pausing. Breath control can be one of it. Visualization can be one of it. Just make it a habit to visualize the outcome of what you want to say or what you want to do. Another trick that I always tell people also is counting back from 10 to 1. You are used to 1 to 10. So you are training your brain to change by counting back from 10 to 1. Another one, you need to just take a break. And there are a lot of other tricks.
Doctor, that's very, very explosive. You've given us a lot of tricks generally. Your PAC model, I think that is something. Even if I just pick one first, like the pause, and I try to, train myself to always pause when there's a situation and analyze first before I respond. Starting from there alone, I should, even if that's all I'm able to do for a long period of time, I think it would actually go a long way in helping me to stay resilient. In addition to all of these things that you have unpacked for us, I'm sure that the viewers have learned a lot, because even me sitting here, I feel like, I've listened to you severally, but every time I have conversations with you, there are always new things that I take out from what you have said. So I'm sure that our viewers have also learned a lot. But in wrapping this up, in closing, what do you have like a closing statement on this particular topic, this being resilient in the workplace, like a closing statement for our viewers?
Okay, so I will just take my closing statement from the care of the PAC model. Keep choosing your actions despite your feeling. So you must be aware of actions that you need to choose despite your feeling, especially when you are facing adverse times. Like I was saying, I had a training for a company yesterday, one of our clients, and one of the things I emphasized to them, you're working on a very high pressured environment. It's an abomination not to promote physical activeness or fitness among your staff. It's a matter of time. You will see the consequences. All right. So one of the things you must choose your action is your physical fitness. You must, and you don't have to feel like it when you wake up.
You can
Stop
never feel
obeying
like
your
it.
feeling.
It's
You
difficult
are not
to
an
feel
animal.
like
Stop
it.
obeying your feeling. Obey the goal. And you don't have to do 1 hour like the gym rat. No. Start with 10, 15 minutes. Even if it's the, like you will say, suke, that you will do in your room. Just start with that, but be consistent. But don't obey your feeling. Choose your action to be active. You are helping your brain to master how to handle stress, because exercise is a stress rehearsal for stress. You're also pumping new chemicals like endorphins, the feel-good hormone into your system, and clearing the toxic ones from your system. Also, you must learn to choose your action on your goal. A lot of times we make a mistake when we set a big goal for our life. I want to marry at this age. I want to have this amount of money, invest in this. I want to have 3 plots of land. I want to build this, that. I want to attain managerial role at this particular age of practice. Now, you might have attained that age or target time, and yet you are not achieving, and it's not looking like you have achieved it or you will achieve it soon. It's okay. Life happens. But you make the big mistake many people make that we use in killing our resilience capacity is we define our progress as until I achieve that big goal, I'm not making progress. You'll be denying yourself of dopamine, the mental alertness hormone, otherwise known as the reward chemical. Now, mental alertness hormone is the chemical that helps you to stay alert and fire you up for more to pursue your goal the more. When it goes down, you will struggle with motivation and drive. And one of the ways it can be triggered, aside food, it can be triggered is whenever you have a big goal you are targeting, you are chasing. Even though you have not achieved it, the little steps you are making towards it, you recognize it, acknowledge it, and reward yourself, celebrate yourself for it. Each time you reward and celebrate it, you are pumping dopamine into your system. That's another way of choosing your action. Let me stop there.
Thank you so much, Doctor. He said, keep choosing your actions despite your feelings. Keep choosing your actions despite your feelings. You can, a trick to do that is you visualize what your goal is, right? You visualize what that your goal is, and that also helps you to stay focused on the goal. And then you choose the action that is leading you to your goal, despite how you're feeling at the moment. Thank you so much, Doctor, for freely sharing your expertise with us.
Thank you for having me.
We really appreciate this. Thank you for honoring us with your presence and your expertise, your knowledge that you have shared with us. Thank you so much, Doctor.
You're welcome.
Thank you, everyone, for tuning in today. I hope you enjoyed the episode, and I hope you learned a lot from my discussion with Doctor. Please, we want you to engage with us on the comment section. Drop your comments. If you have questions, if you have contributions to the topics that we have discussed, please drop your comments, drop your question. We would like to hear from you. Thank you. Bye for now.